everyone, and welcome to the Agile State of Mind. I'm with Marcin Aks Grochowina today. Hey, Marcin.
Hi, hello.
I never know if I should call you Marcin or Aks, actually.
I prefer Aks. I don't like my
Okay.
name.
All right. Okay. So I'm Maria Czech, just so everyone knows my name. And we have Aks today. Before I say who he is, Aks caught my attention recently because he developed an idea that's called collaboration depth. And I wanted to really talk about it, what it is and how it works. Aks is an agile consultant, is an agile head, also scrum master and agile coach, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so all the agile titles here. He's based in Poland and he speaks at more conferences in 1 year than I do in like 5. We have had a lot of very interesting conversations talking about Scrum, Agile, and far beyond. And now I would like to talk about the collaboration depth, what it is, and understand a bit more. So
Yeah,
I think, yeah, go.
I'm really grateful that I can do this here because I think that I've been thinking about collaboration depth since February. And I think that it's more in my head rather than anywhere else. Like, I feel that I don't share a lot about this idea. I talk with people during the conferences just to gather some feedback about it. But actually, I think it's the first time I'm gonna share my thoughts in English. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm super excited. And thank you for that I can be here. Thank you for that.
I'm very happy that I finally managed to get you to the podcast, to
Yeah,
Agile
we've been
State of
talking
Mind.
about it for months, I think.
Yes, for years, I could say. And especially it resonates with me because, I had my romance with collaboration. So last year, I was also very excited about that. Collaboration is something that's really important when we work with the teams. It doesn't matter. You do Agile, you do Scrum, or you do Waterfall. Like whatever you do, when you have teams and you want them, the group of people become a team, collaboration is included. If you have even like a huge corporation, there are a lot of people working, collaboration is necessary. And we are these glue roles that help that collaboration to glue people together, glue processes together so they make sense. That's why it resonates a lot. Let's start with the problem. What was the problem that you wanted to solve or you think you're solving with collaboration depth?
Yeah, for years I kept asking myself how to improve the collaboration in the team. And 5 years ago, I've started working as a consultant and started testing different approaches, different models with different teams. And I've seen that when I take one model and implement it in one team, it works. And when I do the same in different team, I see resistance. I see some problems with it. So I've kept asking myself how to improve collaboration. And I discovered tons of models around motivation, around trust, around team dynamics, and different
Psychological
approaches.
safety,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, all of that. And each of them, like, combined together, created a whole picture, I think. But I still thought that I can't find the real answer how to improve, because you can improve and improve and improve, and it's a continuous improvement process. But I think I wanted to catch something that I couldn't find the real name for that. And
Mhm.
because each model came with some kind of framework, some kind of tools, checklists, and stuff like that. And I thought that it's getting too complex to talk about it. I even had this problem when I thought, if I want to create some kind of an offer for my clients,
Mhm.
how can I shape it? What words can I use to get people know what I'm capable of, or how can I help them? Yeah. And then I thought maybe I'm asking myself the wrong question. And I changed that question to what's blocking collaboration in the
Mhm.
teams. And actually that answer came really quickly. And my thoughts, I was thinking about the main areas, and I understood that It's about processes, it's about relationships, about people, and about the knowledge and the information that we use in our work. Then I came up with idea of collaboration depth because I thought that every team member comes to the team with different approach, with different experience, with different strengths and all of that. And usually, when we shape the team, we want to create some rules or we want to create some shared understanding. But I've seen many times that this understanding is not shared. It's like something that we want to have, but until we try to like check if it works, it's only words on paper, right?
So
If
it's like an
we
end state, not really the
Yeah,
real
yeah,
state.
yeah,
We can talk a lot and create team agreements, but only
yeah,
once we put them in practice, they become verified and we
yeah,
see if
yeah,
that's
yeah.
actually the case.
So we can check if it works or should we improve something. And that's how the collaboration depth was created. So I've described the collaboration depth with four elements: the process depth, the people depth, information depth, and response capacity. Three of those elements influence each other. So if we are having some kind of process depth, can have an impact on people and information, but the response capacity is kind of a buffer for the collaboration depth. So the higher response capacity is, if the response capacity is high, we can work with, to pay off the collaboration debt more quickly, so we can
Hmm.
respond to problems that we occur and find solutions very quickly. If the response capacity is low, so we've got a huge hierarchy, and if we want to improve something, we need to have stamps from the people above us in hierarchy and stuff like that. Then the collaboration debt is getting higher and higher because we don't
Hmm.
pay off our debt.
Yeah, and you have very good image. That's why I show it to show it.
Because I think that I understood that collaboration debt was the lost puzzle for me,
Hmm.
but also I think that those elements are combined together. And in the beginning, I've created a formula, a math formula for the collaboration depth. But after a couple of conversations, I understood that it wasn't a good idea because it's brought a lot of
More
questions.
questions
And
than
yeah,
answers.
and I saw that people started focusing on wrong things.
This was
The
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
calculation, right?
yeah, yeah.
The formula.
I wanted to create something that we didn't know how to talk about, and I
Hmm.
wanted to make the conversations simpler. And when I saw those questions that people are focusing on wrong things, how to add those things together, or what elements should we sum in this formula and stuff like that, I was like, it's not about that, it's
Oh,
not
now you
about
know how
that.
the people that write like Scrum guides feel, right? And then you suddenly see something
Yeah,
completely different from what you wanted to
yeah,
say, right? And
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
interesting this thought process one has to go through when you have an idea, you know what you want to express, but then expressing it, putting into words, and even like wanting to give an image and maybe a formula so it's easier, it actually
yeah,
becomes more complex and people focus on the wrong things. What I
yeah. And
really liked about it.
actually think it's really interesting for me to shape this model in an incremental way, that I didn't like set and create all of the ideas and then publish it, but I published a really rough idea. And the first conference that I've talked about it, it was really rough idea, but every conversation helped me to understand which way I would like to go with the model to help people talk about the problems of collaboration in less complex way. rather than to create
Hmm.
another level of complexity.
So it was an agile approach to
Yeah,
creating a model.
that's
Nice.
why I
You
say
preach. You
I'm
do
an
what you
agile.
preach.
That's why I say I'm an agile head.
Exactly. Great, great. And what I really liked about it is when you compared it to the technical depth. This is more on like people side, the collaboration depth, and that sometimes we know that we hack the code to create this technical depth because we want to achieve something quickly and then we have to pay it off. Not always we have time for it. And you said that here maybe we don't really do it on purpose. Although I think sometimes we do. Sometimes we hack the communication. We hack something because we want it to be quick. There is a
Yeah,
change in
true.
the
Yeah, true.
collaboration. There is a change in organization, and we want to somehow like rush it a bit. And this way, we don't stop to think like, can we get feedback? What's the feedback? Should we really use the feedback to improve it? Or, so it's like I see sometimes that companies do this. They implement a change, they announce it, they then do like AMA. Great, you do an AMA. It's more, I will explain what I already have, then I want your feedback because maybe it's not a perfect state, right? So I think we kind of hack that.
Sometimes even the MAA, we can use it to find out what levels of our communication were misunderstood. We don't need to like ask people for the feedback about every solution or every change that we want to bring to our company, because sometimes some decisions has to be made. This is something that I understood a few years ago, and that's the element also of the collaboration depth model, that not every decision has to be created together with people, but it's really important to communicate it in a understandable way for people so that people can accept it. And
Mhm.
usually big decisions are just announced and that's it. And then the scrum masters, agile coaches, leaders have to deal with this misunderstanding.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree so much. I think it's also about the expectations. You sometimes just have people that don't want to be very actively involved. They consider work to be place where they go. And sometimes they do it consciously, sometimes it's unconscious. But I think very important part is you might even get to ask for feedback, but people are already not even this response capacity, that part. Like I sometimes see people are not really open to give feedback because they already gave it so many times, nothing came out of it. That this response capacity is resonating a lot with me because you are creating a model for basically every company and
Yeah,
every place where you have people collaborating,
yeah,
working together, not necessarily collaborating, cooperating.
yeah,
And then you see that, okay, we have this process. We start getting some process depth because people don't like the process, but it's there. Then you have people and they stop like trusting each other, stop trusting in the leadership. Then information depth. You get to know something that's not like, it's really hard also to even have like a catalog of all the products you have and get really good information and about the changes, about the product, about everything. And then you create this response capacity. At the beginning, I usually see people are very eager to give feedback, to say, to disagree, like, oh, I hate this. You have to know that I hate this and why I hate this. And then suddenly it's like silent. You exposed a big change and nobody says a word. And that's where
yeah,
I am very, very preoccupied because I'm like, okay, so this means either they don't care or they just don't think there might be their feedback will help in any way.
yeah. The recent Gallup report says that we can find this information that only 13% of European workers think that they are engaged with the work that they are doing. For Poland, this number is lower because it's, I think, 9%.
Wow.
And it's not, I think, about those 87% of European people that they have never wanted to be engaged and involved in their work, but something during their career, during their they gather experiences that showed them that you don't have to be engaged, because you're, even if you raise a voice, nothing will change. Or and sometimes you will get negative feedback for your ideas, so it's better to stay silent and just do the work that someone
Hmm.
says to do. And I think it was really interesting for me to discover this problem that many managers say about disengaged teams, but they only see this disengagement when they want people to engage. But there are many times that people are that the accountability is taken from the people, like the Lencioni's model about dysfunctions of the team. The disengagement is at the third level. Below that, before we start working with disengagement, we should understand if people know how to deal with the conflicts in the team. But the first level is trust. Do people trust each other? Do people trust their manager and stuff like that? And if we don't create this psychological safe space for being myself, for bringing my ideas, for sharing my ideas, for giving me the space that, or the making me believe that it's worth to share my feelings, my thoughts, my observations. And if we don't create a space where people understand that different ideas don't need to create a war between people, but it's actually a good for the collaboration that we have different ideas, because we can discover the best idea shaped on those experiences from the team members. If we create this kind of ground, then we can see the collaboration, then we can see the engagement and involvement in the process of work. And
Yeah.
usually many managers just ask themselves, how can we improve the collaboration? But if I ask them, what about the trust in your team? I hear that, yeah, everyone trusts themselves, but the first retrospective, sorry, the first retrospective or the first conversation with the three
Goes otherwise. Mm.
shows other ways. So yeah,
And you remember not a long time ago there was this survey by Miro, and they asked the same questions to managers and to practitioners,
yeah,
and the answers were so different. And I
yeah.
think this is what we want to believe, because once you also, there are so many things to unpack. I just don't want to go too long because we are almost at that time, and I still want to show the canvas. So once you become a manager, you directly know less, because people directly in their
Yeah,
head, you're now somebody who has more power, so they don't share as much with you as they used to when you were a colleague, a peer, right? So that's already a problem. And then you look at it and you want it to be nice or good, but you also want it to be easy. Let's face it, how many people want it just to be easy? Why we still have those professors? That's for me the best example, the best like metaphor. The professor at university who goes and reads from a paper for years
yeah.
the same thing. I'm like, how? Because it's easy. Why would I do like a very engaging workshop if they will pay me the same thing? Whatever. So you have this professor who will always go and just read from a paper for years to students. And here we have as well, like you become a manager. Why should I bother? Why should I waste my energy if I'm already at this level? I can make it easy. It's easy. And then they wake up one day and like people are not engaged. People don't care about my product, but that's the effect. It's not the people that are the problem, right?
I
It's what
think
we
that
created.
another level of creating this disengagement is that when people become a manager, they do a lot of micromanagement and or the nano management. I recently heard
Wow.
this word.
Next
uh,
level.
yeah, because they think that they would do the same work differently, so they want
Better.
people to do the better job. So
Just like they would.
they just control people. And this is another thing for creating the collaboration depth, because people, even if they have skills for this, is my favorite thought, that we spend so much time, so much energy when we try to find the perfect employee for our team during the recruitment process, want to pick the best person, and then that
Hmm.
person comes to our team and the manager gives directions and like say, you do this like this, like this, like this. So why we bother to find the best people if we want to create robots doing the
Yeah.
algorithmic work? And yeah, that's the reason that people disengage during the work, because even if they come with their own experience, they may find the manager who will say, no, you're doing this wrong, I will show you how to do it better way.
Yeah, exactly. I see it so much. It's
Yeah.
so obvious. So, thanks for this. And before we go, I would really like, even though it's in Polish, well, we will show something in Polish. Is it okay if I share it?
Yeah, of course.
It's in Polish, but we can understand it. Exactly. So, I just wanted, because this is great to like, you don't only think about philosophical problem, but you actually have created a canvas that can help deal with the collaboration depth, right? So we have problem, it's the same in Polish. So what's the problem with the collaboration? And then you have on the other side the Zen state, which is how would it work, would it look
The
like
perfect
without this
solution.
problem?
Yeah, the perfect.
We have the processes. So what is influencing those different
Yeah,
areas, right? And we have processes, people, and information, which you previously said, and what happens when it increases and what happens when it decreases, right? So we
yeah.
show those different states, the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. And then on the right hand side, there are some questions to ask.
Yeah, it's how to talk about the problem, because I think that sometimes when people hear about the problem, they can be defensive if
Hmm.
we use the wrong words. And I really like the prime directive of retrospectives, that basically it's about looking for.
Constructive solutions and not blaming, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
every
yeah, yeah. That during the retrospective, we believe that everyone made the best that they could in that time, but the problem that we want to deal with occurred because there was lack of something, lack of knowledge,
Mhm.
lack of experience, lack of tools, and stuff like that.
So
And
it's totally detached from the person.
yeah,
We
yeah,
never blame
yeah,
anyone personally. we
yeah,
we look at the problem and try to solve it in like a
yeah.
constructive
And
way.
this is also really important for me, in that if we talk about the people depth, that it's not personal, it's about the relationships, it's
Hmm.
about the trust between people in the team, and not about Maria or Ax or someone else. It's about
Hmm.
the relationships. And that's why there's a this field in the canvas to make ourselves, or people that we are creating with this canvas, how do we want to talk about this problem, not to be personal, but to
Hmm.
show other people that it's really important to improve it.
And I really like that here you have the measurement. So this is basically the metrics. How will we know things are getting better? What will be the sign, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and
oh,
actually this is really important, because when I created that formula in the beginning, a lot of people asked me about the metrics.
hmm,
For me, it depends. I had to say it during this
no,
conversation, but it depends on the context that you are dealing with. Like, I don't want to create the set of metrics, because the
hmm,
metric, for me, the metric is based on a problem that you want to
of
resolve.
course. Really like this one. It's like, how do you see we are getting better? What are the signs
Yeah,
we are getting better? This is your measurement. You're
yeah,
heading in the right direction. And then you have the next steps, right? What would you do? What are the actions? which I really
Yeah,
like. And I think,
because we have the perfect solution. We've got the metrics, we've got some ideas how can we improve our processes, relationships, and informations. So what's the first step? What can you do
mhm.
tomorrow to do the first step?
And I really like it because it's like when, Mike was sharing the dysfunction mapping,
Yeah,
and he also shared Miro template, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really easy, and it's really like, it's just a way for us to structure it, and then you don't have to spend all that time to invent something, because I like the idea and I like this idea as well. And this is, even we could use it on a retro, right? It could
yeah.
be a
True, true.
retrospective template. So you can also make it in Miro and like, oh, hello. So for me, this one is very important because I want to know why people stop asking questions. I want to know what we can do so we increase the response capacity,
Yeah,
right? It's so important. And especially if you're a team lead, you have team to lead and you see that they don't know more collaborate, they know more, give you anything, any feedback, any, even like when nobody opposes, there's a problem. Like, no, but it cannot be that everybody is happy with everything, right?
yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, and actually, the set of questions is gonna be another. I don't know if I can name it a tool, but I want to
Mm-hmm.
create some kind of set of questions that you can ask the team or even yourself around those four elements to better understand the problem. Because I really feel that when we think about the problem that we are dealing with, we don't try to understand the core of the problem, and usually we just find the solutions that we
Mask
see.
the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. They are like a band-aid for the problem and
Mm-hmm.
not not the cure. And I don't think about the collaboration depth model as a cure for the collaboration in teams, but I think that it can be helpful to understand the real problem, and that will lead to finding the better solution for that problem.
And that leads to just having better life ultimately, right?
True.
Because if you go to the work and you are not engaged, it's okay, but then you spend there 8 hours of your life and you're just thinking about when I will be back home, or I will just work from home so I don't have to even engage with all those people. And it's just the quality of life decreases. I think ultimately what we do here is we are trying to improve people's lives and not suffer so much.
Yeah, and the Google's project, Aristotle and
Hmm.
Daniel Pink's work around the motivation shows that people need to understand why, the real why around the why are we doing this, what brings us joy of doing things, and if we find those drivers in our work, in our life, then we are the best version of ourselves. Yeah, so yeah, that's right.
Great. And that's a very nice thing to say before the ending. I think really starting from a problem, why collaboration depth makes sense and why it makes sense to work on it and improving your response capacity, and how that actually can improve everybody's lives and just have a more happy and satisfied people at work. It really is something worth fighting for. So
haven't
thanks
thought
so
about
much.
haven't thought about this problem this way, but thank you for for that. It's
You're welcome.
another rabbit hole for me.
Oh no, no, it is already closed. The loop is closed. No rabbit holes in it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining and for taking the time. Really interesting. And I hope that we can really use it to improve our work
Yeah, thank you
and
for
collaboration.
having me here. It was a real pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye.